everyone, Rebecca back for the next episode of the Monday Mr. Money Mustache Motivation. Mr. Money Mustache is a very popular financial independence, retire early blogger, and on Mondays I share a blog post of his so we can stay motivated on our own fire journeys and discuss what we think in the comment section down below. As always, I have these articles linked in the description box below if you would like to learn more about Mr. Money Mustache or visit his website. Today's article is from October 7th, 2014. This one is titled, Getting Rich with Science. An angry man by the name of Jared stopped by the blog the other day and left this beauty of a comment on my old AC article. Oh, you anti-air conditioning freaks crack me up. Here in Alabama, I keep my air conditioning unapologetically set between 68 and 71 all year round. I do not care about utility bills. Some mornings I have my house so cold my windows are dripping with dew. I love my air conditioner. You guys toughing it out make me laugh. Even on 62-degree days, the western sun warms it enough to bump on the air conditioning. When I'm drinking, I set it even lower. Who are you air conditioning Nazis judging your neighbors for running the ACs? Enjoy sweating, I guess. It's currently 69 degrees in my house. I have 2 spare window units in my garage that serve as emergency backup should the central systems fail for any reason. Have fun saving $50. Buy 3/4 of a tank of gas with it or something. Cry about the climate change lie our government wants you to be afraid of so they can control you. Now, my first inclination was probably the same as yours. A deep sigh as you pull on the 20-ounce XL boxing gloves and prepare to deliver some education yet again. But if you set aside the facts and just look at the feeling behind these words, I'm right there with Jared. He and I are not so different after all, if I were to paraphrase a little. Do you outsiders really think you can tell me what to do? Fuck that. I'm going to continue doing as I see fit, and now I'll even make a show of it just to prove that you don't own me. In fact, defiance and standing up for your own freedom while rejecting the influence of invaders is a natural human instinct. It has been pretty useful to us in the past, and it can still come in handy today if you use that rage for a good cause. Unfortunately, for our defiant friend, the substance of the argument doesn't stand up quite as well as the emotion, and a good chunk of our society's self-imposed hardships come from falling into the same basic trap. Becoming so convinced that you're right that you block yourself from ever learning anything. Looking at this example specifically, we start with a guy rightfully seeking happiness, but in doing so, he seems to have snarled in the idea of comfort and convenience as being part of happiness. He is wrong. Both old philosophy and modern science have shown it. Voluntary discomfort and mastery of hardship are far more powerful life boosters than avoidance. Even Jared has probably noticed that kicking the ass of a daunting challenge is more satisfying than having all of life's luxuries flow in through an IV needle and then back out through the catheter and the bedpan. The key is in what challenges you choose to embrace. I suggest as many healthy ones as you can handle, especially those dished out by Mother Nature herself. Because if you stand up and face the challenges of maintaining a stronger and more flexible body and mind and developing skills and frugality muscles, you will be far less likely to come up against the more unpleasant challenges of navigating the medical system or the psychological strain of long-term debt. Then there's the rest of those factual errors. Lowering your dependence on climate control and other electrical extravagances isn't about saving $50. It's more like $100 per month, which compounds rapidly into $17,300 every 10 years. And that 17 grand does not have to go into your gas tank and out through the exhaust pipe. Instead, it could buy portions of businesses and thus become an army of employees that work for you for a lifetime. That's a solid start at becoming a millionaire, which is something best done $10 at a time. Then his argument goes on to reinforce my point perfectly with the generalization about climate change. Here, our man has single-handedly outfoxed the world's scientific community and has declared the last few decades of their research to be incorrect. The incredible irony is that he confuses climate science with a government plot to control society when it's actually quite clearly documented that the opposite is true. Climate change doubt is a strategic misinformation campaign designed to control voters to rally continued support for the fossil fuel industry. The doubt is most prevalent in countries where the industry has close ties to the political system and the campaign has been well funded. For the past 20 years or so, I have watched with wonder from the sidelines as this societal experiment raged because I'm shocked that it actually worked so well. Why is our species so easily duped by such transparent and centuries-old methods of tomfoolery? How are the morally good air conditioning lovers of Alabama converted into campaigners against science itself and unwittingly against their own best economic interests. How has science become a political issue, with liberals and scientists being branded together as out-of-touch elites and a certain 50% of real Americans united in a mistrust of the whole field? Let's clear this all up right now and get one thing straight. Science is your friend. It is the most useful thing humans have ever developed, and there is absolutely no downside to it. Regardless of your religious or political views, understanding what science is and using everything it offers to your advantage is the fastest way to accelerate your path to leading a rich and fulfilling life. Science is not about ideology or trying to cover the truth or trying to manipulate people. That is what politics are generally about, and science is exactly the opposite of that. Science is all about looking for evidence through experimentation and forever questioning itself and refusing to simply repeat dogma. By refusing to cling to existing assumptions about what the truth is, science gets us forever incrementally closer to understanding what is really going on in our world. In other words, science is the method that we have developed to protect us from our own tendency to cling to incorrect assumptions forever. Luckily for all of us, we don't have to get into the bullshit national debates about the current political hot topics which politicians are using to control you. Instead, you can apply the principles of science to improve your own life right now. How to get rich through scientific living. Number 1, understand more about yourself as the human animal so you can work around your own mental weaknesses. At the core, you were built for exactly one reason: to produce as many healthy babies as possible. Every finger and toe, emotion and follicle of your being has been optimized for this purpose. If you have other goals like deeper life satisfaction or getting out of debt, you need to learn to override some of your default programming. Learning about how we are all predictably irrational is key to this. The moment you think you are a perfectly rational being is the moment you stop being able to think critically, and the moment you become easy for others to manipulate. A study of your own species by learning some basic psychology and behavioral economics is the best bit of education you can get. Number 2, understand the difference between correlation and causation and the value of the double-blind test. When society falls for massive misinformation, it is often because of our tendency to latch onto simple patterns and fall into the herd mentality. I always win at roulette when I wear my bright red shirt. These $59 Chi energy alignment pills always make me have a better day. Buying this more expensive wine will provide me with a happier life. Are all common blunders that could be avoided if we were all better at conducting semi-controlled experiments upon ourselves. And fear of doing something differently from everyone else tends to lead us all into group mediocrity, even while stepping out and doing things in your own better way is much more likely to earn you attention, respect, and greater success. Number 3, instead of fighting the gifts of science, embrace them and use them to live a better life. Climate change skeptics aren't really comfortable with the science. They are uncomfortable with the implication that their fossil fuel dependent lifestyle is immoral and endangered. This is an incurable condition that will lead to lifelong unhappiness because the science is not going away. Try as you might, you are not going to outscience the scientists by reading skeptic websites and repeating their memes. You need to practice in the field for many years to make even a small new discovery, and yet the armchair climate scientists are fond of grabbing each news story and squawking about how the deep ocean results prove this or disprove that. Don't waste your time. The real scientists will just keep collecting evidence until you're the last one standing on the shore, insisting the world is flat and those sailing ships are falling off of a giant waterfall at the edge of the horizon. Instead, I prefer to learn more about the science by letting the specialists do their work for me while I sit back and read the summaries as they come in. I then have my own free time to decide what it all means to me and how to best deal with reality. I too wish that the world wasn't warming so quickly, but there's a happier way to deal with it than angry denial. I can choose to lead a happy and engaged life in my own community and consume a bit less stuff. More money, better health, and closer friendships, no loss there. Sometimes you may still choose to blatantly burn plenty of fossil fuels despite a full knowledge and acceptance of the results. I've been known to drive across the country, hop on a jet, or even eat a steak. But I get to do it with the understanding that it is a trade-off instead of hiding behind a plastic shield of wimpy denial. The extra bonus is that understanding some of the workings of our environment has greatly reduced my cravings for BMWs, which has saved me at least $250,000 so far. It also brings me great optimism. I think the world's transition away from sloppy and expensive fossil fuels is the biggest business opportunity we have yet stumbled across. The progress and prosperity involved will keep the stock market and the economy booming booming for more than the rest of my lifetime. Although I now have this blog to share my own ideas about better living, its effects are obviously very finite, but there's no need to fret about what the rest of the world is doing because that is outside of my circle of control. Worrying is 100% counterproductive, and it was psychological studies that helped me figure out that very principle. Science is bound to deliver news that is sometimes convenient, the news that sex is very good for your health, for example, and sometimes less so, that fossil fuels and alcohol are not. But knowledge is power, and power means the opportunity to make the best of your own life, which includes dominating on the financial side of things, as well as just the ability to go to bed with a broad smile on your face at night. Science is the way you get knowledge, nothing more and nothing less. You're free to fight it at your own peril, but I'll be hanging out here in my own life laboratory, keeping the grand experiment going as long as possible. Alright guys, I had to share that one on my channel because as I'm going back through the Mr. Money Mustache website and I'm looking for articles to share, that one really rang a bell for today's day and age. Am I right? Y'all probably know the analogy that I am fixing to make here, and that is all of the anti-vaxxers about the virus right now. Am I right? I have to wonder how many readers Mr. Money Mustache lost because he posted that article, but that is one big reason why I respect him so much. He calls it as he sees it and puts it on his website whether or not people are going to agree with it. He's not in it for clicks and views, and because he's not in it for clicks and views, he gets clicks and views. So kudos to Mr. Money Mustache for posting that one, and I had to share it because it is just as relevant today as when it was written back then, and it is applicable in today's current situation. So y'all, if you have not been vaccinated yet, go get vaccinated. That is all I'm gonna say about that. And if you like Mr. Money Mustache's style as much as I do, I will link to the rest of the Mr. Money Mustache articles I have done at the end of this video. I'll see you next Monday for the next episode. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. I keep my air conditioning unapologetic. Yours. A deep sigh as you pull on the 20-ounce